Morning to all of you, and welcome to our webinar about strategies for targeted content delivery using SharePoint 2010 for internet sites. My name is Didier Oliver. I'm a technology solution specialist for the digital marketing product group at Microsoft, and I'm joined today by my colleague Yarin Negri, Director of Marketing at Inlock. Inlock, as many of you already know, is a great Microsoft partner with an ISV solution called the SharePoint Marketing Suite. And today we'll be using it to show you how to create great, engaging, and personalized experience for online users. Sometimes, just like in my scenario for shopping for a Windows Phone, I'm not yet logged into the site. And so this is where we introduce this concept of behavioral content targeting. And this is where we're going to use the SharePoint Marketing Suite from Inlock to provide personalization based on what the user is actually doing on the site. And so the scenario here is, instead of actually logging onto the site, we're actually going to click and navigate through the site. So I'm going to navigate to the product section, and then from the camera and camcorder section, I'm going to pick a camera, and that is going to trigger the event that says that user is interested in more advanced camera. So it's a simple scenario, but basically you'll see that we're able to define goals, which are a whole click of a sequence, a whole sequence of clicks to really identify user in a particular segment. And once these users are in that segment, then we can start targeting content to them. So for example, here, the user who belongs to the advanced camera user, or users that like to look at SLR camera, is going to see new targeted content. And the same thing will appear across the site. So as the user goes back to a particular section on the site, they're actually going to see, new targeted content, new very, very relevant data. And the way we're going to do this is again, taking advantage of the SharePoint Marketing Suite, and very easy two-step. One step is to identify segments. And then another step is to then say, I want to configure some element on my SharePoint page and show the default content. That's what everybody's going to see, but also the personalized content for my particular audience. And we'll see that in identifying the segment, there's really a plethora of ways to do this. We're going to use kind of a click-through behavior, but we can, base it on where the user's coming from, visitor details, demographic, and all this good stuff. So now you're seeing my demo environment, and I'm going to launch the standard Contoso electronic demonstration from Microsoft. We've actually done a few enhancements on this one, but you'll notice at first I am an anonymous user. And on the landing page, I see some popular products, but that's about it. And so now I'm actually going to log in as Carrie D. And as you remember, Carrie D was a camera enthusiast, and she loves all these advanced cameras. So when Carrie actually logs in, and so now you can see Carrie is logged in, the landing page is now different and actually shows information very relevant to Carrie. So for example, we're displaying some advanced cameras specific for camera enthusiasts, as well as some advanced photography articles that might be very relevant to Carrie. And this is all done using the SharePoint user profile and audiences. And it's a very powerful capability because it goes beyond just creating a personalized experience on the website. Even the search can also be personalized. So for example, you'll notice if Carrie goes and does a search for camera, we will bring back results very relevant to Carrie Drummond. And so for example, here we highlight some content through a visual best bet. with some information relevant to carry about using, advanced photography for a business opportunity. You'll also notice that the cameras that are coming back based on, a keyword as generic as the word camera are all like very relevant camera, more advanced cameras. So using user profiles, you can actually affect the ranking of the search engine as well as this highlighted content. And just to give you an idea of the power of it, if I was to sign in as a different user like myself, I consider myself more of a novice camera user. And so as a novice camera user, for exactly the same search term, I'm going to see a more consumer-oriented visual best bet. So here, because DDA Oliver is a novice camera user, let's try to sell him, some great deal on consumer-oriented cameras. And you'll also notice that the ranking of the same search comes back with different items, and those are much more related to a novice camera user. So the whole user profile audience is extremely powerful to not only personalize the content of the website, but also affect the search experience. And you'll notice as I go back to the main landing page, because I'm a novice user, I don't see all these, more advanced cameras. Now, it turns out that I'm giving myself the ability to edit that page just to show you how you leverage this concept of an audience to personalize the page. And as I mentioned in the presentation, it's very simple. Here we have, for example, a content query web part. So this is a little section of our website that we wanted to hide unless you were camera enthusiast. And so to do this, it's just a property of the web parts. So here, for most of these web parts or even pages, there's always an attribute that you configure right there as part of editing a page called a targeted audience. And if you specify a targeted audience there, that page or that particular web part will only be displayed for that audience, allowing you to really personalize any part of a page on a SharePoint site. Now, for a web part that is as powerful as a content query web part, a content query web part allows you to query other parts of the site. So for example, for this one, we're querying a section of the site that shows all the cameras. But here, you can actually say when you're querying those pages, I want to apply audience filtering. So each of these pages might be targeted for a different audience. And the content query web part is smart enough to say, oh, when I'm querying, I'm going to filter based on the audience, therefore only show the cameras that are targeted for camera enthusiasts. And this is why we're only seeing these advanced camera. So all this done through configuring the page and really no coding and a great ability to create very personalized experience for users that are coming to the site. The next scenario is to do the same thing, but not with a logged in user, more as an anonymous user. So here I'm going to go back to the site, and this time instead of logging in, I'm actually going to navigate the site. So I'm going to go, for example, in camera and camcorders. And you'll notice as I'm navigating the site, for example, here there's no banner, but I'm telling the SharePoint Marketing Suite from InLog to track the behavior of the user. And right now I have a goal that says if a user goes and looks at this SLR camera, we're going to put him in a segment of users that are interested in more advanced cameras. So as soon as I click on this, InLog knows that now I am more of an interested in SLR and more advanced cameras. So immediately as I go back and navigate back through the site, it will start personalizing the experience. So notice that now I have this banner for free shipping on all SLR cameras. That was not there before, but the fact that I went and visited that page as an anonymous user, that was tracked, and now new content is being targeted on that page. Same thing if I go back to the main page, you'll notice that now there's this particular section here about you may be interested in our latest advanced SLR model. So based on my behavior on the site, it started displaying brand new information. And here's more articles about, SLR cameras. So the way this is actually done is taking advantage of the SharePoint Marketing Suite. So now I'm going to launch the SharePoint Marketing Suite and actually show you how we were able to configure the personalization of these different pages. And the SharePoint Marketing Suite is a very comprehensive, powerful solution. It has a lot of very advanced web analytics, way beyond what can be provided inside of SharePoint. It does campaign, allows you to manage and track various campaign. What we're going to be looking at today is really the small portion here about behavioral targeting as part of the optimization of your site. And as I mentioned, the steps are very simple. You first identify a segment, and then you start, personalizing your pages. So in terms of identifying a segment, there's different ways to do this. And a very powerful way is to leverage this concept of goals. You can create goals, and you can create many. I've actually created one. It's a simple one. Basically, this goal says you got to view M358 SLR camera. So once the person clicks on this page, I met my goal. But the key here, the interface allows you to really specify a series of steps. A more, practical example might be, someone visits a product page, then the next thing they click on the request more information button, then they go and fill in the request information form, and then they click on the thank you page. Now these 5 steps identify a goal, and I can then use that goal to identify this user as part of a segment. So goals are very powerful, and they can be used to identify segments. Now, to show you this, here I click on segments. There's a lot of predefined segments for you. New visitor, returning visitors, people coming from search engine, and you can, refine those or create your new segment based on those. I created my own called advanced camera users. And the step is, it just provides you a series of options to identify users that are going to meet the segment. And you'll notice there's a lot of capability to identify a segment based on where the user are coming from, their source, the campaign that you might be tracking, if they're coming from a search engine, the term that they specified in the search engine. The next part is the behavior on the site. And there's different types of behavior that you can pick from. New user, returning visitor, you can create more. But here, this is where we selected our goals. So you can have a series of goals. People, looking at a particular section of the site combined with, doing something else. And this is where you would highlight all the goals that you want the users to meet in order to be part of that segment. And then again, more capability in terms of the amount of visited page and so on they do. And the last part is all about demographics, the browser, the OS, the URL, anything in the URL and the cookies. Really a lot of capability to help you understand about your user, what they're doing, so you can match them inside of a segment. Once you've defined the segment, this is where you can start to go and personalize your pages. Now, we've personalized 2 pages, the landing page as well as the camera and camcorder. On the landing page, if you remember, there were 2 segments, 2 little UI components. There was one that showed like the cameras, and then there was one that showed the article. So here you see that for each page I can define a section and then personalize it based on the segment. We also had this other page where we had the free shipping banner. So we had a section on the side where we would target content. And so just to show you how this is done, I'm actually going to delete this one and we're going to go recreate it just so you get an idea of how easy it is to do. So now that I've deleted my personalization on the camera and camcorder page, I'm going to go recreate it. And it's simple as saying, okay, I'm ready to personalize. The first thing I'm going to do is pick the page that I want to personalize. And this, again, the tool is highly integrated with SharePoint, so I can navigate my entire site. The tool understands the entire structure of the site, and I can either navigate it or actually search for a particular page. Here, I know where the page is. I'm going to click on that page. And then once I have the page up, I need to go identify the section of the page that I want to personalize. And so you'll notice here another key integration point. The tool shows me the page, so it immediately brought up the page that I've selected, and then I can highlight the various sections that I want to personalize. So for example, I want to come here and I want to personalize this whole section where I can put a banner. And so I click on it, and the tool is smart enough to go and look at this section and now show me the content of the section. Happens to be a big, image. And then it's telling me, okay, what do you want to show for the default content? So this is, normal users that come in, what do we want to show them? Well, in our case, we don't want to show them anything. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put like a blank div. And so here's the sky's the limit in terms of what you can put in there. You can really put anything. I decide not to show anything for default users. And once I've done that, then the tool is saying, okay, for that particular UI component, now that you know what you want to show for the default user, what do you want to show for these particular segments? And so we can go here and select as many segments as we want. We're going to pick the advanced camera users. And for the advanced camera users, I don't want to show them nothing. I want to actually show them this banner. So I just copy right there this nice banner that our design firms provided us. And that's pretty much it. That's all I had to do. So I picked the page, and I picked the section on the page that I wanted to personalize. And then for that particular section, I showed what I wanted to put for one segment and what I wanted to put for the default users. And then, of course, I can continue to personalize this page for additional segments. And all this is done right here within this tool. I can see all the pages that I've personalized. I can actually break it down and look at all the UI section across my entire SharePoint site that I personalize, all the way to looking at the various segments. So for a segment like advanced camera users, what are the pages that I've configured? All that done in this nice tool. And so hopefully here, as part of this demonstration, we showed you that really with SharePoint 2010, you can create a very personalized and targeted experience for your customers. Whereas whether it's using the default out-of-the-box capability inside of SharePoint or taking advantage of this great in-log SharePoint Marketing Suite. And so this concludes our demonstration, and I'm going to return to our presentation at this point. And I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint presentation, and actually I see a question, and this might be something that is just perfect for the next section, because I'm going to hand it to Jaren, who's going to give us just a broader overview of InLog and the actual platform. And I've seen a question that says, is there any rich text editor capability for creating that content? So that content that we've actually personalized inside of the SharePoint Marketing Suite. And I'll actually let Jaren address that question as part of is overview of the SharePoint Marketing Suite. So, Yaren, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Didier. Thank you for that introduction, and I think that was a wonderful overview where you were able to show both how easy it is for that maybe non-IT end user, that marketer, to create that personalized content, and also how powerful this tool can be, both for those authenticated users and for the anonymous users using the SharePoint Marketing Suite. So that was a really wonderful overview. But briefly to share with everyone a little bit more about Intlock, for those who are not familiar, we've been around for 7 years now, and in these 7 years, we've been working on our two passions. The first is web analytics and marketing tools, and the second is SharePoint. And over these past 7 years, we've been creating different tools to really allow SharePoint users to take advantage of things like web analytics and the personalization that Didier did share today. And moving on to the next slide, Didier, I'll go over maybe some of the way that we see the SharePoint offering as a whole. So of course, SharePoint is a wonderful CMS platform and a great tool. However, in some cases, when talking about the internet world, it is missing it has some gaps if we're talking about other competing products. And so what the Intlock has done with the SharePoint Marketing Suite is added a layer of marketing tools. And these include tools like what Didier showed of optimization, which is personalization and testing tools such as A/B and multivariate testing. But beyond that, we have a wide range of tools, which include things like advanced web analytics, like campaign tracking, visitor profiling, so who are specific users and what are they interested in, voice of customer or survey tools, SEO tools, and a lot of wonderful tools to provide marketers really with the complete offering, so the CMS platform and also the layer of marketing tools that they need. And this gives us two key advantages. The first, it allows SharePoint to compete in a better way versus some of its competition like Sitecore, Electron, and other CMS tools. But the second main goal is, as Didier said earlier, it allows us to have some great conversations with marketers. So that's just a brief introduction to Intlock and some of the additional tools that we offer on top of SharePoint. And Didier, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and answer some of the questions that I see in the chat as well.
Exactly. I think that would be great. And there's a question about pricing. If you don't mind addressing that one, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting out with pricing, we require a license for every web front-end server that is being used by the customer. And there are two additions to this tool. So there's the SharePoint Marketing Suite Standard Edition and the Enterprise Edition, and they go in line with the SharePoint editions. So similar to the SharePoint Standard Edition, our standard tool can support a single domain, whereas our Enterprise tool can support multiple domains. And briefly regarding pricing, the standard edition, the first web front end is priced at $10,000, and every additional web front end is priced at $5,000. That's a one-time fee, so it is a perpetual license, so there's never a need to renew for using the software. You can use that for as long as you need. And the Enterprise Edition is priced at $20,000 for that first web front end, and then $10,000 for every additional web front end. So when compared to some other products out there, such as Omniture, for example, our product is a much higher value because it does offer all these tools and is at a much lower cost. The next question I see here is regarding integration with FAST. So it's the same seamless integration with FAST as with SharePoint. And also mention that we have a very robust amount of reports about search. So what are, for example, top search phrases, or what search terms are leading customers to achieve goals, for example. So we have a very close integration with FAST, and it's really an out-of-the-box deployment for both SharePoint and FAST. And of course, Kelly, if you have any more questions on that, I'd be happy to answer offline. And regarding, I see another question here about the text editor. So currently, any text that you specify or personalize within the tool will have the same characteristics as the text that you've made in SharePoint. However, in our next release, we'll be including a rich text editor so you can change that text as well. So those are the 3 questions that I see so far, Didier, and if there are any more, I'd be happy to take those as well.
No, absolutely. And so we'll let an image that contains the in-log solution. And so we're able to share that too, so we can also show all the power of this behavioral targeting. And I'm sure at another time we'll get a chance to dive in more and look at all the functionality of in-log. And so I really encourage you to contact Yarin and work with Inlog to learn more of this great technology there.
From Intel's perspective of how we'd be happy to work with the SIs on the line and the partners, first of all, I've added my email address for anyone who wants more information about the SharePoint Marketing Suite. Can feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to have a personal conversation with each of you. But more than that, I'd like to emphasize that we'd be happy to provide either this image or your own license of the SharePoint Marketing Suite so that each partner can get the hang of this tool, can test it out on their own, can demo it for their customers or leads. And more than that, we'd be happy to join such sessions and help you present SharePoint with this more complete offering of the SharePoint Marketing Suite to your customers and leads who are looking to use SharePoint for their internet websites. So feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to schedule maybe a more in-depth demonstration for your organization specifically.